Alright, so in the last lecture we talked about the randint. We realized that if we call the function random.randint and putting the initial and final value, we can generate a random number. So that's pretty cool, right? Now, the next thing we're going to talk about is a very simple guessing game. And to do this, I'm going to create a file, okay? Or file and, no, sorry, one sec. I have to select ideally first, file, new file. And I'm going to be doing the majority of my coding in this file, and the reason for that is, well, it's a little bit difficult to write big program statements inside of the IDLE, because if you make a mistake and hit enter, it gives you an error, then you have to go back to that line, hit enter, get that code back, and then reformat it. So instead of doing all of that, all I want to do is put all my code into this file. Okay, so we're thinking of a guessing game, right? And how is this guessing game supposed to work? Well, what I think is that the computer will guess a number, and we then are gonna, enter a number. If that number is lower than the computer's guess number, the computer prints out guess higher. And if the number is higher than the guess number, then the computer prints out guess lower. And if it's equal to the guess number, then the computer prints out you're correct. So again, a very simple guessing game, and think of it as a small challenge. I mean, we've learned about the random module, we've learned about the if-else statements. So using this knowledge, I'm going to pause this video here, and I'm going to give you a few minutes to try and figure out if you can create this program. So here I go, I pause the video. Alright, so if you did create your guessing game, that's fantastic. I mean, I'm definitely proud of you. If you haven't and if you're still wondering how to do it, don't worry, I'm there for you. So the first thing we want to do is let's talk about what's needed. So we're using the random .randint statement, right? So to do that, we need to import our random module. That's the first thing. Now the second thing is we need a variable to hold the computer's guess initially. So I'm going to create a variable called compGuess or comGuess. I'm going to set that equal to random.randint, and then let's say we're guessing between 0 to 100. Okay, there we go. So the computer has now guessed the number. What instructions should be given to the user? I'm going to say user guess is equal to one sec, let me think about this. So user guess is equal to input enter guess a number between 0 to 100. Okay, so I think what we should do is we're gonna put all of this in a while loop, or not really a while loop. Let's take a look. Yeah, you know what, let's do a while loop. So the way this is going to work is the while loop will run every single time until the user guesses the correct number. So while true, and again, the true statement basically makes it run forever, and the way we'll break out of this while loop is by using the break statement. Okay, so while true, we're saying user guess is equal to input guess a number between 0 to 100. So this is our main input statement. Okay, now we want to say if user guess, and actually, you know what? We actually have to add the spaces over here. Remember the 4 indentations of Python? So user guess is equal to input. If user guess is greater than comGuess, okay? So if the user guessed higher than the computer's guess, we're going to tell him, hey, you got to print guess lower. Okay? Now, what if the user guessed lower than computer guess? So elif user guess less than computer guess. What then? Then we're going to say print guess higher. Okay? And last but not least, else. So if it's not higher, if it's not lower, then that means what? You got to, well, it's a correct answer then, right? So if the guess is not higher than the computer guess, if it's not lower than the computer guess, then we know the user has guessed the computer guess, right? So else print, congrats, you have guessed the correct number. And then all we have to do is break out. So break. Alright. So this is our very simple guessing game. So I'm going to go ahead and save this. If you are on a Mac, Command S. If you're on a Windows machine, Control S. So save as, and I'm going to save this as my guessing game Python. So go ahead and save. Alright, and I'm going to go ahead and run this. So what happens? Nothing actually, that's odd. So let's go ahead, get this back. Run module. Alright, there we go. So guess a number between 0 to 100. I'm going to guess 50. Unorderable type string is greater than it. Alright, so this is our first error, something I should have known about, but I didn't, so that was my mistake. Our first error is that when we're checking if user guess is greater than com guess, remember, when we use the input statement, it'll always take in a string. It won't take in an integer, it'll always take a string. So what we have to do is we have to convert this, or actually, instead, we have to convert our input into an integer. So if you remember back 30 or so lectures ago, we were talking about the int and the str functions. The int function converts our string, which is a number, into a normal integer. The string function, on the other hand, converts any integer into a string. So by converting our input into an integer, we won't get this error anymore. So run, again, it's just F5, so let's just go ahead and hit F5. It says source must be safe, okay? Guess the number between 0 to 100, I say 50. So it says guess higher, okay? I'm going to say 75 or 76. It says guess lower, so 60 maybe. Guess a number, guess higher, so 65. Higher, 67. Higher, 70. Higher, 73. Lower, so it's between 70 and 73. 71. Yay, we guessed the correct number. Awesome. So this is a very basic guessing game we created through Python, and this is a lot of fun. So if you were able to create this guessing game by yourself, fantastic job. I mean, that's truly amazing. Otherwise, hopefully you had fun creating this very simple guessing game. Now I have a quick challenge for you, okay? Actually, even before the challenge, let's quickly talk about one thing you might fix in this guessing game. Currently, right now, let me just go ahead and run this again. So getting this back and F5. If I say 150, for example, it allows the guess. If I say negative 2000, it allows the guess. So one thing you might want to consider while creating this application is that limit the user's guesses to between 0 to 100. For example, if I guess 150, I should see a message saying, hey, you need to guess between 0 to 100. And if I guess minus 2000, then I should again see a message saying you need to guess between 0 to 100. But that's something you can work on later. Again, that was just one piece of advice I could have given. Now comes the challenge. So I always like giving out challenges to my students. I've done that in my Apple Watch course. I'm doing that in this course. And the challenge for today, or at least for this section, is that I want you to create a computer-based guessing game. And the way this will work is you will guess the number, Yes. So you will have a number in mind, okay? You will have a number in mind, you'll store it in your memory, and then the computer will guess the number, okay? And the way this will work is, for example, the computer will initially print out, let's say 50, and then you'll either say higher or lower, and then based on that, the computer will either guess higher or lower. For example, if I guess the number 60, my initial guess of the computer was 50, I printed out higher, the computer realized, hey, I now need to search from 100 to 50. So suppose he searches 75. Then we say lower. And now the computer realizes I need to search from 50 to 75. So it continuously decreases the range it's searching through. Again, this might be a little bit over your head. I will be adding the code for this computer guessing game in the next lecture. But if you understood what I'm trying to say, definitely try it out and compare your code to mine. See you in the next lecture.